Hi, this is the Flower Pot Farmer, and I wanted to show you some examples of farming in flower pots today versus farming in the dirt, soil. So let's walk right over here. I want to show you the distinct advantages of growing your vegetables in flower pots. Now you wouldn't believe this, but look at the size of this corn. Isn't that nice? And as you can see, we've grown it in 10-inch flower pots. And be sure not to use clay terracotta pots because they get too hot and they'll burn up your plants. We used a plastic pot, and then we put mulch in the top of it to keep your plant from drying out. It helps it retain moisture. Here's an example to the left of a corn plant that was grown in a 10-inch flower pot. And to the left and right, you see these little guys that were planted at the exact same time. But they were planted in the soil in mounds, and they did not have the moisture. They didn't have the growth or the loose enough soil like they do in the flower pots. Coming back over here to the flower pots, here's another one. This one has red peppers. Well, they're green right now, but give them a little bit more time and they're going to turn red. Here's a beautiful example of squash that you can grow in the flower pots. And this, my favorite, this is the eggplant, grown in a 10-inch flower pot. Behind it you have sage. This is sweet basil that we grew in a pot. And these are jalapeno peppers. People say that you can't grow peppers. For some reason, they just don't ever grow. Well, they seem to do fine in dirt and peat and compost mixed half and half. And here's an example of Brenda's tomatoes. These are her cherry tomatoes. The tomatoes will start to climb, and so you have to put some kind of support in them. Give them something to climb on. And if it gets too heavy, you can simply take a big rock and set it right here in the pot. And that'll give it a counterbalance to keep it from blowing over in the wind. Here's an example of the chili serrano peppers. And these are cucumbers. These are green beans. So you can see we've been picking the beans off of here as they grow and ripen. And the season's about over for the beans. But everything here was grown in 10-inch flower pots. If you live in an apartment or you live in a place where there is no garden soil, I highly recommend try this out. You can become a flower pot farmer and you can enjoy fresh vegetables, organic vegetables year-round. In my next video, I'll talk about what kind of soil mixture we use and what kind of fertilizers that you can use. But let me show you your first lesson here. This is the way I recommend that you water. A lot of people like to just spray the leaves, but that really doesn't do much for them. The best way is take the hose and just let the water fill the top of the pot. Now you don't fill the pot all the way up. You got to leave about an inch, inch and a half so that you have room to add water. Now it's starting to fill up, starting to spill over. Make sure that you water all sides of the pot. Brenda says that I'm putting too much water, but my best advice is go ahead and make sure that it's thoroughly wet till you see it running over. And then I come back in a few minutes, and if I see water sitting in the top here, then I simply take it and tilt it. Notice in the bottom that there's holes in this pot right here. These holes allow the water to come out the bottom. You just pour off the excess. See, it's pouring off the top there too. If your leaves are starting to look yellow, it means you're giving them too much water. Just back off the water for 1 or 2 days, and then you can go back and water them again. But it's the root system that you really need to get wet. Now I want to show you a sample of Brenda's flower garden. Let's walk up here. This is Brenda's garden path. This is our home in Asheville, North Carolina. See Brenda's blueberry bushes. She put a net over them so she could have some before the robin got them this year. Oh, these are Brenda's flowers. Brenda, what's the name of these flowers over here?
They're clematis.
Clematis.
Or clematis.
Or clematis.
Okay.
But they're definitely not clementines. You can see she has flowers growing everywhere.
More clematis.
More clematis.
Asiatic lilies, the white ones.
And these are Asiatic lilies.
Roses. Big red roses.
And her big red roses. Her pink roses. You can tell that we live in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Let's pan around the yard here. I donated the basketball goal to our project. And these are Brenda's latest additions to the landscaping. She had a truck dump a pile of dirt. She split it into these piles, and then she put bricks around them to give it a little definition. And she left a definite walkway between them. That girl's got a green thumb. Everything she puts her hands to prospers. Well, we want to thank you all for looking at our video, and we'll be back next time with more from the Flower Pot Farmer.